notice, because you've fallen for that and you won't fall for it again, at least not in the foreseeable future.
Getting back to Adam's question regarding America trying to take the power back from China, it's already happened in 2014. China won the economic war against America. We are firmly now, under purchasing power parity, we are firmly now in a multipolar world. And we've seen with the war against Russia and the war against Iran that America cannot, the Zionist Anglosphere controlled by America cannot project its power through the maritime anymore. They are outside the Gulf of the Persian Gulf.
There was a phrase.
They've lost.
There was a phrase used by a reformist politician in the economist in the 1920s, 30s. His name was Tawney. He used to say, you can peel an onion layer by layer, but you can't declaw a tiger claw by claw. And so the idea that you can gradually and slowly undermine America, Israel and the Western powers, little bit by little bit, as you scrape along one concession after another, I think is false. At a certain stage, these tigers with claws respond with violence, and they don't run away because they lose. They prepare for another war. And what is the war they're preparing for? Let's be clear about it. Everything they are doing in Gaza, everything they're doing in Iran, everything they're doing in Russia, Ukraine, is preparation for a generalized war against China. And the methods they will want to use will be model destruction. So an economy is based upon a modelled structure, an organisation, the London transport, the hospital system. They have structures and organisations, rules and regulations, computer material which governs the processes of the operations and functioning of an organisation. They are more and more integrated into the hands of a few technology companies. The reason they wanted the Chinese to adopt the exactly same technological systems is because then they could destroy them at a moment's notice. They can destroy an economy at a moment's notice. They can blow up a country at a moment's notice. They can send drones to blow people up at a moment's notice. And they're building an army of robots which will be able to fight without human beings involved, driven by AI. This is the battleground which America and the Western world is preparing for when they say we must fight in Ukraine, we must defend Israel, we must protect the Straits of Hormuz. This is what they're preparing for a generalized war based on modern technology and robotics and drones and satellites to take on China and try to destroy it. What did you say? You see, it's like, the idea is, I mean, in Vietnam they lost, in Iraq they lost, in Afghanistan they lost, but if you think they're going to like back off because you peeled a couple of layers off them, they're not going to do that. They are not going to do that. They are a tiger, and that tiger, by the way, will not be any different if Ocasio-Cortez was suddenly put in power. She'll be screaming, oh, look how the Muslims are treated. Not in America, look how the Muslims are treated in China. That's what she'll be, and they're already screaming that. Look how the Muslims, they put them in concentration camps. China is not playing fair. They have a bipartisan position on China in the United States. Andy Burnham, the first thing he did when he came to power, when he became the Prime Minister of England without a vote, the first thing he did was go and meet Zelensky. He didn't go to the poorest areas of England and shake the hand of an unemployed, homeless person.
Happy about that.
He wandered off to meet Zelensky in order to prepare to send weapons. Of course he was told to, because no government in the Western world is independent of the paymasters and institutional power that controls the operation of their administrations, of their governments, of their armies, of their ministries, of their corporations. No government is independent of these forces. And this is the delusion. They make people think, in the advanced capitalist countries, they make you think, well, you've got the choice. Every 5 years you can go and vote for Andy Burnham or Nigel Farage.
Voted for him,
or you can go and vote for... every 5 years you would be able to, in theory, be able to go and vote in an election. And in that election you cross a piece of paper and you choose, you decide. And you've got free speech because you can come to the Speaker's corner and you can stand up and say what you like. I've been doing that for 40 years and I know very well that has very little impact on society. Not only that, but if people do listen to what you say, or hell breaks out to stop you getting any further influence, they'll block you, lock you, constrain you, prevent you, and if necessary, put you in prison. There are people now who have been protesting justifiably against what's been going on in Gaza and the role of Britain in that. They go outside a bank, spray the bank with spray paint. They've been found guilty of criminal damage, but they're going to be imprisoned under terrorism charges, under terrorism laws. So in other words, they convert the law from one law that exists into another after the conviction into a terrorist charge. And there are dozens and dozens of people who've been accused of terrorist charges. Not only that, there are thousands of people in Britain now who've been accused of terrorism charges who have not committed a crime at all other than holding a piece of paper. So if you think those people and that establishment is going to suddenly back down and hand over all the power, here's the gold, here's the money, here's the keys, here's the control, they're going to do that because Iran defeats them in the Strait of Hormuz, or because the Russians stopped them in Ukraine. I think you've got another thing coming.
Well, they've got no more weapons left, have they? Well,
my friend, they have plenty of weapons. What are their weapons? This is not a war. The society we live in is in permanent war. The war takes place between the classes, between those who work for a living, who earn and produce, earn their wages and produce the wealth, and those who own and control the wealth in society. That is a permanent war. And that is what actually is reflected in the conflict between China and America. And that permanent war between the classes to drive down your wages, to make you pay more, to make you pay for electricity more, to make you pay for defence. That permanent war takes place on a daily basis. And they claim then that when they fight a military war against Iran or a military war against the people of Gaza.
It's the ordinary people who are fighting the war. They're the ones that die. It's not the privilege.
Yes. But it's also the automated mechanisms of exercising power. Technology, computers, robotics, drones. That's the trajectory they go. And every week, I mean, a few years, I lived next to the Notting Hill Carnival. Last year at Notting Hill Carnival, and every previous year for the last 5 years, the police would build a scaffold next to my building, which is right by the Portobello Road, and they would watch out. They would have 5 spotters in there, police, spotting what's going on, observing who's coming past, and reporting to the police officer, the plainclothes police officers in the audience, who's doing what and where. This year, no scaffold.
They're here now.
No police.
Why not?
They're here
because they got a camera there. They put a brand new camera there. A brand new camera there. Ultra high definition, ultra high facial recognition, can scan a crowd of 5,000 people and spot people straight away, which 5 spotters are less able to do. And if you don't think they're applying exactly the same technology to the mechanisms of control of society, from the daily work you do, to every message you send on your mobile phone, to every attempt to communicate with anyone you know, they know, that's what they're doing. They're establishing a permanent web of surveillance, monitoring and manipulation of the population. Because they would like to manipulate the population. Before they went into Iraq, the first attempt, and it was a crude attempt, but the first attempt was to instigate violence inside Iran.
And how?
Blame it on the Iranian government, kill a load of people. The Israelis and their agents killed some 3,000 people, and then say, oh, it's the Iranian opposition all being massacred by the Iranian government. And we know less about that, you know, less about the number of people. Sorry?
I'm Iranian, that's wrong statement.
Well, so you've got a different point of view to me. Because you're Iranian doesn't make you right.
I know, of course it doesn't in my country, it does make me right.
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't. Because I have more information about it than you.
So how many people protested a couple of weeks ago when the Iranian, when the funeral was on? It was the biggest funeral procession in the history of the world. What are you talking
Scott
about?
Bessent this week
You
said...
may not like the Iranian government, but you don't need to lie and make out they're not popular. They're extremely popular today, despite everything.
Scott Bessent said...
How do you know?
If they were popular, they wouldn't need to kill 40,000 people.
They didn't
where does
kill
the figure come from?
40,000.
Where does your 40,000 figure from? Where does your 40,000 figure come from? Where does your 40,000 figure come from? It's invented. It's entirely invented and disseminated by the establishment, reinforced by the propaganda of the establishment to make the population repeat like parrots when someone says how many died in Iran, what's going 40,000 people, 40,000 people, 40,000 people. What evidence do you have for it? Zero. You've got zero evidence for it. But you repeat 40,000 people because you've been turned into a Pavlovian dog of Elon Musk and Donald Trump and the Israelis.
Donald Trump said
Whether you're Iranian or you're English, it doesn't make any difference.
But it isn't also a war against the workers and the bourgeoisie, because what is really going on, what this gentleman's missing out, Scott Bessent openly said he destroyed their currency, which caused the demonstrations, and they infiltrated the Kurds, and the Azeris. And the other point is, Scott Bessent has promised to do it again this week. That's the war, and it's an economic war.
The exiled opposition are bound to argue that case. They're bound to say, well,
Why
the
don't they tell the truth?
because their truth is dependent upon what standpoint you take. There isn't a perfect
Well, it's either
truth.
true or a
Depends
lie.
whose
It's a lie.
interest you're connected with.
He's got a point to make.
He's got a point of view.
How do
He's
you
got a
know
point
it's a
of
lie?
view.
Because we know that only
Israel has
3,000.
destroyed the currency. No one has destroyed
Scott Bessent destroyed the currency. He is a Soros banker,
right.
and they broke the Bank of England.
No one
Wait,
has
wait, wait.
destroyed the currency more than the regime.
I've been speaking a while.
You're
I'm
having a
going to
laugh,
break.
and yeah,
Thanks very
they
much.
support their country.
And
Is that it?
I'm going to speak for a while. I'm taking a break. Piers can get up. Jamie, get up. You can get up. And say what you want.
No, you should
We say thank you, even though it's